Greetings, Cauldron of Weird. Welcome back. This is going to be a bit different from what I normally do by myself. I'm just going to be talking about the Save the Crew movement, what's happened since the original video we've done, and what is next in addition to that. So, since then, the Columbus Crew went on their playoff run. And, it was a very good playoff run. It was more than a lot of people expected. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals, lost 1-0 on aggregate to Toronto, of course, the eventual champions, which looks a little better for the team, but a lot has transpired. So, let's just start it. I will be playing FIFA while we take care of this, by the way. And let me just adjust this real quick. There we go. So, where to begin? So yes, the season ended, and a lot has transpired. We have lost a lot of players, and that is including but not limited to Justin Merrim and Ola Kamara. A lot of people who don't want to be associated with a potential team in Austin. And, a lot of these really skilled players that we really needed in that playoff run are now gone. They're trying to replace them as best they can, and, it's probably going to be a rough season next year, given the amount of overhaul, I guess, is the word I'll use for this. But that's just to the on-the-field product. There will be changes with every offseason, and changes are unavoidable a lot of times. But, probably wouldn't have been as notable given, these current set of circumstances. So that's just on the field, We've got our new season coming up, and, regardless, we've got to be prepared to support our club in the stands. And, so now to the off-the-field stuff. The ownership has been hell-bent on trying to force Austin down the throats of the citizens of Austin. And they've been met with some opposition. And, they're trying to drum up, a bunch of false support and, a bunch of AstroTurf groups. And for those who don't know what that is, that's basically a group of supporters that are meant to look like a grassroots movement, but it's really fake. So they have a couple of AstroTurf sites for MLS to ATX. Now, don't get me wrong. If Austin wants a soccer team, I would love for them to have one. Their own soccer team, that is. And the biggest issue that we keep running into is that, the owner just wants out. He wants out of Columbus. He very obviously doesn't like being here. This is this is a major league situation if I've ever seen one. He's doing everything he can to make it out of the city of Columbus, and MLS has been very complicit in his actions. If not working hand in hand with them. But this is where the good news comes in. Austin doesn't seem to want a team. And I must thank, people like Morgan Hughes and, the Twitter page Save the Crew, and T-Bone of, Columbus's local ESPN radio show, Common Man and T-Bone. Big fan, by the way. And they've done a very good job of keeping us up to date on everything going on with Save the Crew and, all that good stuff. And there's been a lot of opposition to this team going to Texas. Starting with, first and foremost, the people of Columbus. They've been very vocal about not wanting to lose their team. And and that is translated to clubs and supporters from around Major League Soccer and in turn around the world too. I know we've got a bunch of supporters in England of our movement, especially for sure. I know AFC Wimbledon just did a story in one of their more recent match programs. Wimbledon fans of anyone would know what it's like to lose a soccer team. But we've had all this support from all over the world, and it's resonated. It's resonated within Major League Soccer. In addition to that, the people of Austin don't want the team. The proposed stadium sites just do not flow well with the feng shui of the city. And Anthony Precourt has been hell-bent on using parkland, which, the city needs to vote on, the citizens need to vote on. And, I am not one to want to steal someone's parkland. I like city parks. Parks are nice. Parks are an essential part of a city. And the citizens of Austin realize this. So, they have been up in arms, not wanting their parks to be taken up by a football stadium. With that, city council members have actively worked against working with Precourt and Greeley, the head of Precourt Sports Ventures, and have made life very difficult because they aren't being very clear with them like they aren't being clear with Columbus. So, Precourt is running into issues there. In addition to that, all the false narratives that were being pushed by Anthony Precourt and Greeley and Don Garber are all being, exposed for the extreme falsehoods that they are. Per capita, we have one of the higher attendance rates of all the Major League Soccer cities. And in addition to that, saying that there isn't enough local investor support and sponsorship support, well, that's just not true. We have some of the highest numbers of sponsors in all of Major League Soccer. Things that are just being perpetually exposed to being falsehoods. Basically, Precourt and Garber have been lying to everyone. In addition to that, the voices of very prominent names in the soccer community in America are being thrown around too. Like Landon Donovan has been involved with this. Well, not like directly involved, but he has shown his support for us staying, which is, of course, good. Big fan of you as well, Landon Donovan. You'll never watch this, but I'm a big fan. With that, so, the more this goes on, the more it drags out, the louder all the Save the Crew voices are getting. And it's bad publicity for Major League Soccer. And I think they're starting to realize that this may be a lost venture. Because all of a sudden now, here's the really good news. talks have reopened with Columbus and the team. And there's been a lot more talks between Precourt and local investors. Sorry, it's hard to concentrate when you have to play as well. And, damn. With that, news came out in the last week that, well, let me backtrack a little. So, what we had was a situation where, the city council said, we don't want to use our parkland. And it came down to it that the only remaining viable stadium site that they have is 10 miles from the urban core, which is exactly the opposite of what Precourt wanted. And with that, it kind of ruins the whole "we need a downtown stadium" bullshit narrative. And so you have this, and 40 acres of land up for grabs near downtown in Columbus. That's something I don't think Major League Soccer is going to be willing to pass up. So, all of that, they started, tucking tail and posturing with, talking with the city of Columbus. And, with that, we do have local investor support right now. There are apparently very serious talks going on with the CEO of Brewdog USA, which is a beer company. What spells Columbus more than craft beer? But that is fantastic news, which means we are one step closer out of 800 steps to saving the actual Columbus Crew and keeping them the Columbus Crew, which at the end of the day is all we really want. We don't want to cause a stir. We don't want to cause any ill will between us and Major League Soccer, but we want to keep our team. End of story. And that's just the end goal. And I think it's something that should be noted too. This would be a very unprecedented thing in American sports, because relocation is just part of the game. It's part of the American sports culture. It's just something that they do. Teams up and relocate. They move when they don't get what they want, and if they don't get people building them billion-dollar palaces. We don't want that. And, I'm still not buckling down from Moffrey Stadium. It's still a very suitable building. But I do want what's best for the future of the Columbus Crew. Basically, all that matters is saving the crew. And there's been a lot of very, very helpful voices to do that. Lots of local businesses. Lots and lots of people coming to the table trying to become local investors. And this is all great. It's fantastic. I absolutely love the fact that we have all this positive stuff happening with the team. Because usually the millionaire or billionaire gets what they want. They take their team and they go to greener pastures, quote unquote. And they just leave a fan base to rot. And that doesn't seem to be what's happening here. It seems to be that the fans are fighting back and winning for the first time in probably decades, since the last time a team threatening to relocate, actually stayed. I think maybe the Pirates or Penguins might have been the only other ones that have done it in recent memory. Maybe the Kings, but they're Sacramento Kings to be specific. But regardless, this is unprecedented. And we're not going to stop fighting. And I urge you, if you are listening to this and you want this team to stay, and you are a Columbus Crew fan, or even if you're not a Crew fan, you just want this team to stay, or you're, just a staunch anti-relocation person, much like myself, even before this all happened, I must say, don't stop fighting. This is far from over. And we need all the support and help we can get. And truly, this is bigger than just the team itself. Having soccer in here. The stadium is a massive revenue drawer. Like it with all the concerts and other events that it hosts, it draws in millions for the city of Columbus, and that's a revenue stream this city doesn't really need to be losing at the moment. All I can say is don't stop fighting. It's way too important that we keep this team and we keep the facilities in the city. But as this game of FIFA draws to a close, that's really all I have to say. When some major event happens with this, or they officially announce the team's not moving, or if they officially announce the team is moving, whatever happens, I will be coming back and I will be making another video updating what happens. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Share with your friends. Columbus till I die. # save the crew. Auf Wiedersehen.